Rain hammered the windows of Reed's blooms like fists demanding entry. Eleanor's fingers traced white lily petals, memorizing texture and shape. Blind since birth, she read flowers the way others read faces. The bell chimed. Heavy footsteps. A presence that shifted the air itself. "Welcome to Reed's blooms," Eleanor said. "How can I help you?" Silence stretched. Then a voice, deep and controlled, "I don't know why I'm here." Most people don't. But they find what they need anyway. Alexander Graves stood dripping expensive rainwater onto her floor. Built an empire on ruthless decisions. Crushed competitors. Buried emotions. Survived losses that broke lesser men. Yet this tiny shop held him frozen. "You work here alone?" "Most days." "That's dangerous." Eleanor's hands stilled. So is walking through life afraid of everything. No one spoke to him like that. Ever. "I need flowers," he said abruptly. "For someone special." There was no one. Hadn't been in years. "For my mother. She's dead." The words came out harsher than intended. Eleanor didn't flinch. "Then we'll make something beautiful for her." What did she love? Violets. Her fingers moved with precision, selecting purple blooms, arranging them with gentleness that made his chest tighten. When finished, she extended the bouquet. Their fingers brushed. Warm. Unexpected. Real. "You carry a lot of weight," Eleanor said softly. "I can feel it." His breath caught. "You don't know me. I know grief. And you're drowning in it." For the first time in 10 years, Alexander Graves felt seen. Not by eyes. By something deeper. Something terrifying. He left without another word, violets clutched tight, her words echoing. 3 days later, when darkness wrapped around him like a vice, when his penthouse walls pressed too close and silence screamed too loud, he found himself outside Reed's blooms again. The bell chimed. Eleanor turned, a knowing smile on her lips. "Back so soon?" Alexander's hands clenched. "I don't know what I'm doing here." "Yes, you do. You're looking for something you lost a long time ago." "And what's that?" Eleanor stepped closer, voice barely a whisper. "A reason to feel alive." His heart hammered. She was right. He'd been dead inside so long he'd forgotten how to breathe. "I can't offer you anything. I'm not a good man." Eleanor reached out, hand finding his chest, resting over his heart. "Everyone's broken, Alexander. The question is whether you'll let someone help you heal." He stared at this blind woman who saw straight through him. For the first time in his life, Alexander Graves was afraid. Because she made him want to try. And wanting anyone was the most dangerous thing he could do. "I'll come back," he whispered. Eleanor smiled. "I know." As Alexander walked into the rain, he didn't see the shadow watching from across the street. Didn't see the man in the black car taking photos. He didn't know his enemies had already found his weakness. And they would use it to destroy him. 3 weeks. 17 visits. Each time Alexander told himself it would be the last. Each time he was drawn back to Eleanor's quiet strength, her gentle laugh, the way she existed without fear in a world she couldn't see. Tonight he stood in her shop after closing, watching her lock the register. "You're still here," Eleanor said, tilting her head toward him. "I wanted to make sure you got home safely." "I've been getting home safely for years, Alexander." "That was before." "Before what?" He stepped closer, voice low. "Before you mattered to me." Eleanor's breath hitched. She reached out, fingers finding his face, tracing the sharp line of his jaw, the tension in his shoulders. "You're afraid," she whispered. "Terrified." "Of what?" "Of this. Of you." Of what it means. Eleanor's hand slid to his chest, feeling his heartbeat thunder beneath her palm. What does it mean? Alexander caught her wrist gently, holding her hand against him. That I can't lose you. And that makes you a target. Before Eleanor could respond, the shop window exploded. Glass shattered inward like violent rain. Alexander threw himself over her, shielding her as shards scattered across the floor. His body pressed against hers, protective, desperate. Are you hurt? He demanded, voice raw. No. I'm fine. A brick lay among the glass, wrapped in paper. Alexander grabbed it, jaw clenching as he read the message scrawled in red ink. Back off, Graves, or the blind girl pays. Eleanor's face went pale. Alexander, what's happening? He pulled her to her feet, hands trembling with barely controlled rage. I have enemies. Dangerous ones. And now they know about you. Then we go to the police. The police can't help. These people don't play by rules. His voice cracked. I should never have come here. I should never have put you in danger. Eleanor grabbed his arm, grip surprisingly strong. You don't get to decide that. You don't get to walk into my life, make me feel something real, and then run because you're scared. Eleanor, you don't understand what they'll do. I understand that I've lived my entire life in darkness, and you're the first person who's made me want to see the light. Her voice broke. Don't take that away from me. Alexander cupped her face, forehead pressing against hers. If something happens to you because of me, I won't survive it. Then don't let them win. He kissed her then, fierce and desperate, pouring every unspoken word into that single moment. Eleanor kissed him back, hands fisting in his shirt, holding him like he might disappear. When they broke apart, Alexander's eyes were dark with determination. I'll handle this. But you need to trust me. I do. Then pack a bag. You're coming with me tonight. Eleanor nodded. Alexander pulled out his phone, making a call that would set everything in motion. But neither of them saw the figure slip away from the shadows outside. Neither of them knew that the real betrayal hadn't come from Alexander's enemies. It had come from someone much closer. The next morning, Alexander's assistant Marcus stood in his office, face grim. We have a problem, sir. Alexander looked up from his laptop. What now? Marcus hesitated, then slid a folder across the desk. Eleanor Reed. I did a background check like you asked. Alexander's blood ran cold as he opened the folder. Inside, photos, documents, bank transfers. Eleanor's flower shop drowning in debt. Her landlord threatening eviction. And then 3 weeks ago, a sudden influx of cash into her account. From Victor Cain. Alexander's most ruthless rival. The man who would do anything to destroy him. The man who had orchestrated every attack, every threat. Marcus's voice was quiet. The money went in the same day you first visited her shop, sir. It looks like she was planted to get close to you. Alexander's hands shook as he stared at the evidence. His mind raced, replaying every conversation, every touch, every moment. Had it all been a lie? Where is she now? In the guest room. Sleeping. Alexander stood slowly, the weight of betrayal crushing his chest. He had opened himself up for the first time in years. Let someone in. And she had been working for his enemy all along. He walked to the guest room, each step heavier than the last. Eleanor was awake, sitting on the edge of the bed, her face turned toward the window. Alexander, she said softly. Is everything okay? He stood in the doorway, folder clutched in his hand, heart breaking with every second. Tell me the truth, Eleanor. Why did you really let me into your life? Eleanor's face crumpled with confusion. What are you talking about? Alexander threw the folder onto the bed. Victor Cain paid you. 3 weeks ago. The exact day I walked into your shop. Silence. Thick, suffocating silence. Eleanor's hands trembled as she reached for the folder, fingers brushing papers she couldn't see. Alexander, I don't. Don't lie to me anymore. A single tear slid down Eleanor's cheek. I can explain. Can you? Because right now it looks like everything between us was a setup. That you were paid to make me fall for you. To make me weak. Eleanor stood, voice shaking. I needed the money. My shop was failing. I was going to lose everything my mother built. And yes, Victor Cain offered me a deal. But I didn't know who you were. I swear. You're still lying. I'm not. Eleanor's voice cracked with desperation. He told me to befriend you, to report back on your routines, your weaknesses. But the moment you walked into my shop, the moment I heard your voice, I knew I couldn't do it. Then why didn't you tell me? Eleanor's face crumpled. Because I was terrified you'd walk away. Because for the first time in my life, I felt something real. And I was too scared to lose it. Alexander's jaw tightened. Did you report anything to him? No. Nothing. I took his money and I blocked his calls. I know how it looks, but Alexander, I swear on my mother's grave, I fell for you. Really fell for you. Not because he paid me. Despite it. Alexander wanted to believe her. God, he wanted to. But trust had always been his weakness. And she had lied. I need you to leave. Eleanor's face went white. Alexander, please. I can't look at you right now. I can't be near you. You need to go. Don't do this. Don't throw away what we have because you're scared. What we have? Alexander's voice turned cold. We have nothing. We never did. Eleanor's hands shook as she reached for him one last time. You know that's not true. Alexander stepped back. Marcus will take you home. Stay away from me, Eleanor. And stay away from my enemies. You're on your own now. He walked out, closing the door behind him. And Eleanor collapsed onto the bed, silent tears streaming down her face. In his office, Alexander stared out at the city skyline, chest hollow. His phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Well played, Graves. But the game's just beginning. VC. Alexander's blood turned to ice. Victor Cain knew Eleanor had failed. And now she was in more danger than ever. 2 days passed. Alexander buried himself in work, tried to forget her face, her voice, the way she touched him like he was worth something. His phone rang at 2 a.m. Marcus. Sir, there's been an incident. Reed's Blooms is on fire. Alexander's heart stopped. Where's Eleanor? Unknown. Fire department's on scene now. Alexander was in his car before Marcus finished speaking. Drove through empty streets with his pulse hammering in his throat. Arrived to find the shop engulfed in flames, black smoke billowing into the night sky. Firefighters held him back as the building collapsed. There was no one inside, one of them said. Building was empty. But where was she? Alexander's phone buzzed. A video message. Unknown sender. He opened it. Eleanor, bound to a chair in a dark warehouse, tape over her mouth, terror in her sightless eyes. Victor Cain stepped into frame, smiling. Hello, Alexander. Your little florist is quite lovely, even if she did fail at her one job. Here's the deal, you sign over 60% of your company to me by noon tomorrow, or she dies. Simple as that. The video cut off. Alexander's hands shook with rage. He forwarded the video to Marcus with a single text, find her. Now. Then he called Victor Cain directly. Let her go. This is between us. Victor's laugh was cold. But where's the fun in that? You took everything from me 5 years ago, Graves. My company, my reputation, my life. Now I take what matters to you. She doesn't matter to me. You know that. I threw her out. Liar. I've been watching you. You're in love with her. And that makes her the perfect leverage. Alexander's jaw clenched. What do you want? I told you. Your company. Or her life. I'll give you the company. Just let her go. By noon tomorrow. My lawyers will send the papers. And Graves? Don't try anything heroic. I have men watching her. You make one wrong move, she's dead. The line went dead. Alexander stood in the street, surrounded by the ashes of Eleanor's life, and made a choice. By dawn, Marcus had assembled a team. Found the warehouse through traffic camera footage and digital traces. High risk, low success probability. We can't guarantee we'll get her out alive, Marcus said. Then I'll go alone. Sir, that's suicide. I don't care. At 11:30 a.m., Alexander stood outside the warehouse. Sent Victor a text, I'm here. Let's make the trade in person. Come inside. Alone. Alexander walked through the door, unarmed, knowing he was walking into a trap. Eleanor sat in the center of the warehouse, still bound, eyes covered now. 6 armed men surrounded her. Victor Cain stood behind her, gun pressed to her head. Right on time, Victor said. Did you bring the contracts? Let her go first. That's not how this works. Sign first. Then maybe I let her live. Alexander stepped forward. You're going to kill us both anyway. So here's a better offer, let her go, and I'll tell you where I've hidden the offshore accounts. $12 billion, Victor. More than my company's worth. Victor's eyes narrowed. You're bluffing. Am I? You know I moved assets after you started threatening me. You think I'd leave everything vulnerable? Let her walk out that door, and I'll give you access to everything. Victor considered, greed warring with revenge on his face. Fine. But you stay. Alexander nodded. Deal. Victor cut Eleanor's bonds, ripped the tape from her mouth. She gasped, reaching out blindly. Alexander? I'm here. You need to go now. I'm not leaving you. Yes, you are. His voice softened. Eleanor, listen to me. Walk straight ahead. 20 paces. Marcus is waiting outside. He'll take you somewhere safe. Alexander, no. I'm sorry. For everything. For not trusting you. For pushing you away. His voice cracked. You were right. I was scared. But you made me feel alive. And that was worth everything. Alexander, please. Go. Now. Victor's men grabbed Eleanor, dragged her toward the exit. She screamed his name, fighting them, but they pushed her through the door. Alexander turned to Victor, alone now, knowing he'd just saved her life by sacrificing his own. Now, Victor said, raising his gun. Where's the money? Alexander smiled coldly. There is no money. I lied. Victor's face twisted with rage. Then you just killed yourself for nothing. No. I killed myself for her. There's a difference. The gunshot echoed through the warehouse. Outside, Eleanor heard it and collapsed, screaming, as Marcus held her back from running inside. The world went dark. Not because she was blind. But because the only light she'd ever known was gone. The bullet missed. Alexander had worn a vest. Had planned for this. Had positioned himself so Victor's shot would hit Kevlar, not flesh. He went down hard, playing dead. Victor approached to confirm the kill. That's when Marcus and his team breached the warehouse, moving like shadows. Victor's men never had a chance. 60 seconds. That's all it took. Victor Cain was on his knees, hands zip-tied, face bloodied. His empire, built on threats and violence, crumbled by the very tactics he'd used on others. Alexander stood slowly, ribs screaming where the bullet had hit the vest. "You should have taken the deal," Alexander said quietly. Then to Marcus, "Call the police. All of them." Outside, Eleanor sat in Marcus's car, hands pressed over her face, silent sobs racking her body. She couldn't breathe. Couldn't think. Alexander was dead. Because of her. Because he'd chosen to save her. The car door opened. "Eleanor." His voice. She went still. Turned her head slowly, afraid she was imagining it. "Alexander? I'm here." She lunged from the car, hands reaching, finding his face, his shoulders, his chest. Feeling his heartbeat. Real. Alive. "You're alive. You're alive. I'm sorry. I had to make it convincing." Eleanor pulled back, tears streaming. "You let me think you were dead." "I know. I'm sorry. You could have died. You almost died. For me." Alexander cupped her face gently. "I would have. Gladly." Eleanor's hands shook. "Why? After everything I did? After I lied to you? Because I understand now. You were trying to survive. Just like I've been trying to survive my whole life. We're both broken, Eleanor. Both scared. But the difference is, you were brave enough to try anyway. I don't deserve you. I don't deserve you either. But maybe that's the point. Maybe we don't have to deserve each other. Maybe we just have to choose each other." Eleanor kissed him, desperate and relieved and still terrified. When they broke apart, she was shaking. "What happens now?" "Now? Victor Cain goes to prison for attempted murder, arson, kidnapping, extortion. His empire falls. And my enemies learn what happens when they threaten what's mine." Eleanor's breath caught. "What's yours?" Alexander's thumb traced her cheekbone. "You. If you'll have me. All my broken pieces. All my darkness. All my fear. I'm scared too. I know. But maybe we can be scared together." Eleanor smiled through tears. "I'd like that." 6 months later, Reed's Blooms reopened. New location, bigger space, Alexander's investment, Eleanor's vision. She stood behind the counter, hands moving across rose petals, when the bell chimed. Alexander entered, holding a small box. "Busy?" he asked. Eleanor smiled. "Never too busy for you." He crossed to her, opened the box. Inside, a ring. Simple. Elegant. Perfect. "I know I'm not easy. I know I'm damaged. I know I'll probably push you away 1,000 more times because I'm terrified of losing you." He took her hand. "But I also know that you're the only person who's ever made me want to be better. The only person who's ever seen past the walls I built. The only person I want to spend my life with." Eleanor's fingers found the ring, traced its shape. Tears slid down her cheeks. "Alexander Graves, are you asking me to marry you?" "I am. Badly. But yes." Eleanor laughed, a sound like sunlight breaking through storm clouds. "Then yes. 1,000 times yes." He slid the ring onto her finger, pulled her close, kissed her like she was air and he'd been drowning. Outside, the city buzzed with life. Inside Reed's blooms, two broken people chose to heal together. Not because it was easy, but because some things are worth fighting for. Some people are worth the risk. And sometimes, the person who can't see you is the only one who truly does. Eleanor rested her head on Alexander's chest, listening to his heartbeat, the sound that had become her compass, her home. "I love you," she whispered. "I love you too," Alexander said. "Even when I'm terrified. Especially then." The rain started again outside, soft this time, gentle. A promise of growth, of renewal, of second chances neither of them thought they'd get. They stood together in the shop filled with flowers, surrounded by beauty Eleanor could only feel and Alexander was just learning to see. And for the first time in their lives, they both felt whole. The end.